Hello YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. This is the America First Pill channel. So I want to discuss a little bit about this whole thing with Trump and just some of his, you know, kind of people concerned if he's mocking Christianity and mocking Muslims. Well, we already know he kind of trolled Muslims on Easter by using "Praise Allah," which I felt wasn't very appropriate at all on Easter, especially blasting an F-bomb like that. But we're in even a worse situation now, and look, this whole war has got people go crazy, and I think it's really taking a toll on Trump, and I think because of it, Trump's kind of gone crazy. I think, at least. A little bit, especially with kind of being really aggressive when it seemed he's being criticized on this decision and on anything. So he got into it with the Pope, Leo. Leo had commented, disagreeing with Trump's war decision. And, I know there's a lot of people who hate the Pope. They hate the whole idea of a papacy. I'm Lutheran, so there's a lot of people who cannot stand the idea of the Pope because, well, just the office of a Pope they feel is Antichrist. A lot of just people who are not Catholic believe that, as well as just the fact that this Pope seems too liberal for a lot of people. And I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I actually like this Pope better than the other one. I actually think as of now, he hasn't even been in office, I think, quite a year yet. But I think, it's almost a year, I think, soon. But I think Pope Leo, again, is a lot better than the last one, Pope Francis. And you also have to understand that Christianity, I think Pope Leo's speaking from a Christian standpoint, not a political standpoint. And you could argue that he's liberal on immigration and being a little too lukewarm on different religions that are not from Christianity, like being a little too friendly with Islam, and there's a lot of things. And let's face it, the Pope really should stay out of politics. Just like I'd want my pastor, want pastors to stick to Scripture. I believe, and pastors generally are neutral because, we're supposed to be focused on Christ. So, and since the Pope is like, the highest, it's like the president of the church, and to me, he has no real role other than like a big influencer. He's supposed to technically be like the guide of the church. Kind of a moral guide of the church. And so, I don't know. I'm not going to bash the Pope on everything. I think there's a lot of fake news and a lot of lies, particularly from evangelical news, and just a lot of news to try to make the Pope look bad on everything. Now, he has said dumb things. He has made very questionable appointees too. Is he saved? I don't know. That's up to God. I'm not going to put myself in that place to decide. But if you are a person of faith, the Christian faith, Protestant or Catholic, there has to be things you agree with that is objectively fact when it comes to our faith. That shouldn't be too controversial. There's some that you can debate. Okay, this is more of an opinion, and there's some, okay, if he does misquote something that's not true, well, we try to correct it and tell people we know the truth so they're not led astray. But I think to call him a liberal, it's a little bit, it's a little too, a little silly to me, because I mean, he stood for traditional marriage. He stood for abortion. And as for immigration, he is definitely more liberal in immigration. Unfortunately, Catholics have always been kind of liberal on that issue. I mean, the Bible does say to, love your neighbor. And Christians used to always be, when we were actually truly charities, not these fake charities that pretend to be Catholic, that are just, taxpayer money, but real charities, Christians did help the poor and foreigners. It's all over history. So, I mean, you could say that's liberal, and maybe it is in our understanding, because some argue that the Pope seems to be embracing bringing in people who don't fit our culture, and it could endanger us, and as well as actually go after the people he claims to be supporting, Christians. So yeah, there's, I definitely don't agree with them on everything on immigration, but if you look at not too long ago, he did say that he does believe government does have a right to decide who gets in and who doesn't, but praise is done humanely and not inhumanely, and that everyone is treated with respect. So for example, I support mass deportations, but should we want them to be deported inhumanely and treated with respect, that they're made in the image of God? I mean, I think, I don't know if that's unrealistic to believe. And even if he does say something like Muslims and Christians should try and find a way to coexist together in Europe, well, again, you don't have to agree with them on that. Okay? I mean, he doesn't really have that much power. He's just giving his opinion. So I don't really think it's something we should be garnering outrage over. He definitely should be a lot more consistent on defending other issues like the Christian persecution as well. And, he seems kind of a little bit partisan on what he'll say and what he won't say. So, that's what people are concerned about. And I think the problem, again, as I said, the Pope, I think, should just refrain from politics and just stick to the moral values, because this is the problem. If you're going to get political, you better be prepared for some backlash, regardless of who it is. Because, you're going to upset the leftists, you're going to upset the people, the MAGAs people. You're going to upset Protestants. You're going to upset somebody. This is the thing. And, so a lot of people getting mad, they don't really understand Christianity. A lot of the people getting mad, they're not even churchgoers. Some of them are Christians, but they're also people I don't think always understand the history of Christianity. They have such a narrow view and as well. And I think right now there is an effort to try to pit Catholics and Protestants against each other. Particularly all of them, but especially evangelicals and Catholic. They're trying to pit each other against each other. All because of Israel. All because the Catholics they don't obsess over Israel the way evangelicals do. They believe that, while Catholics allow their believers to support Israel politically, they recognize that Israel is not a nation, but a spiritual, like a state of Israel, that we're all grafted into Israel together, whether you're Jew or Gentile. But the evangelicals, it seems a lot of the leadership seems to not like that stance. It seems like they get mad. They call you church replacement theorists, replacement theology, and they say that you're, almost like if they think Jews don't need Jesus. And there's some that do believe that. Some evangelicals don't think Jews need Jesus because they're Jewish. I mean, some believe that. It exists, and I think some of the pastors do believe that. And that's a problem. So, I mean, you could I mean, I'm not happy that he seems to be weak on Islam that does persecute Christians, but I'm not happy that evangelicals also simp for Jews, which are also not believers, that also hate Jesus. In fact, Muslims actually have a higher view of Jesus than Jews do. Okay, we don't. And now I understand we tolerate Muslims living in America because they're at least not violent, and I get it, but still, I mean, Jews are not believers too. The Bible's clear that if you reject me, then if you reject him, then you rejected the one who sent him. That's the Father. So, you know, technically, Judaism, and Islam are considered an Abrahamic religion, as Christianity were both Abrahamic, the trio religions, because you could say they both believe the elements of the prophecies of the Old Testament and you could say the Ten Commandments and stuff, but they both are at the same place because they both reject the Savior, and they both, and yeah, they might. Yes, Jesus might be high valued in the Islam, but they don't believe it correctly. They just believe he's a prophet. Plus the prophet they value the most is Muhammad. So so again, they're not. Now, Muslims, I think are easier to convert because of the background they have of Jesus. I wonder if that's why you're seeing a lot more Muslims convert, because of what they understand of Jesus already. But they just now, by the grace of the Holy Spirit, they've been convicted that he is the Son of God. So anyway. So we should not show hate. Either way, it's both anti-Semitic. Hating Muslims, again, you can hate the religion of Islam, but hating Muslims, that is anti-Semitic. They're Semitic too. The people who are Jewish technically don't like when you say this, but Muslims are Semitic. They want there's a narrative out there that you can only be Semitic if you're Jewish. That's not true. It's not true. So there's Jewish Christians, but they're Semitic Christians. Anyways, so that's on that. Now, the next thing is Trump mocking. My next big point with that is Trump mocking. Is he now going to a stage where he's mocking Christ? Because he has a huge controversy for sharing a post because it sounded like it was an AI post where it initially had Jesus' head on it healing somebody, but it was edited and it replaced Jesus' head with Donald Trump instead, and it garnished a lot of backlash. And I've defended Trump a lot, and is this a deal breaker for me? Well, no, because Trump's not a pastor. I don't really think he's a Christian, but I'm still going to pray he succeeds. But I think this post kind of shows me I don't think he's a Christian. He claims that he thinks he was trying to push that he's doing God's work. But again, you could have done things way differently if it was about healing. And you offend a lot of people. You definitely offended Catholics, and I kind of wonder, was this to give Pope Leo the finger? Because Pope kind of is against Trump's decision to do this war, when it seems all he asked for was just praying for peace. Christians are not called to support war. Now, we understand it may be necessary. We're not commanded to. Now, you can have your opinion. You think war is, you could say it's like a necessary evil because it's rumors of war. But to say that, to get mad that Leo won't shill for it, it's just, I think it's unrealistic, and that's these people don't understand Christianity. We're called to pray for peace, and it's Christians to call for peace. Forget the Pope. You can, I don't care whether it's up to you if you're going to hate or not the Pope, whatever. But it doesn't change the fact that we should be praying for peace. He also is against nuclear weapons. I am too. I don't like nuclear weapons. They're destructive. So, Trump doesn't understand. Pope's talking from a Christian standpoint, not a political standpoint. And Trump just seems to want everyone to agree with them, and he seems to go after everybody who is not for this conflict. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he said on Fox News that he thinks we're really close to being done, but it's like, I don't know. So, and then, then Trump shared a post of basically, with him, like, Jesus hugging Trump, and as if, like, Jesus is with Trump and with MAGA, and it's like, to me, that's kind of blasphemous too. I mean, it's like, Jesus doesn't endorse anybody, okay? He's not political. His kingdom's not of this world. Okay? Now, yes, God does put leaders there. I do believe that for a reason, Trump's life was spared and he's president. I mean, just Trump is this close to being killed. So that was a divine intervention. But to put these two pictures, I mean, it's perceived that you're mocking Christianity, or at least it seems you're mocking Catholics specifically. And there's a lot of Protestants, at least online, that are like almost making excuses for it. Like, oh yeah. It's like, first of all, no matter if you don't like the Pope, why are you making excuses for what Trump did? Just he did wrong. That was not appropriate way to joke. Even if it was joking, that's not appropriate. And how Tucker Carlson just released a video wondering if Trump is now, should we sit back and think Trump could possibly be an antichrist all along? The antichrist. No, I don't think he's the antichrist. Trump, plus I think one requirement for the antichrist is you have to be universally liked, and Trump is not exactly universally liked by people. He doesn't exactly unify everybody together. So I don't think Trump is that. But could it be like a form of antichrist, like kind of putting yourself above God, like healing, performing miracle? There's that verse in Thessalonians that talks about the man of lawlessness. So I don't know. I mean, it was just a picture. But it's still like, you should never put yourself above Christ, ever. And, the Catholic vote is an important part of the voter base. I mean, Trump did well with Catholics. So, like, why would you do that why would you try to alienate Catholics? Like, I don't understand it. We do need them. I don't, agree with their theology or not. We need Catholics. Now, the ones I'm worried about are the ones who are faithful, ones that actually practice their faith, that are very offended by this. There are people like Lutherans that are also have a lot of Catholic light that are not happy about this either. But, even some of them, I'm part of some Lutheran groups, they make excuses too, because they don't like the Pope either, because, Lutheran and Catholic have such a rivalry going back to the, so it's like people making excuses too. Like, stop making excuses. You can like Trump, acknowledge that this was wrong and it's offensive. So, I don't know. All I'm going to say is, for those who may think Trump's a Christian that's just really immature, fine. If Trump's a Christian, then so is Tucker Carlson. That's the case. So, I don't know. I am concerned that this is all a ploy to pit Catholics and Protestants against each other. And it's like, it's just so sad to watch that this is what we're fighting against. It's just, I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from. And I don't think it's all Trump's fault, but he has a lot of people in his administration that he unfortunately appointed that, you know, that have kind of evangelicalish background, that have a very anti-Catholic sentiment and a very Israel-obsessed focus. It's just a fact. I'm not trying to make this about Israel at all, or even about if Catholics are right or not, all a lot of things. But I'm just saying that they're, you know, that are pushing that, and Trump doesn't seem to be fighting back against it. And it's almost like he's, you know, and also I don't like Paula White either. Paula White's supposed to be his pastor. She doesn't believe in the divinity. She doesn't. I actually have some footage by that. So she's not exactly good for Trump's spiritual place, because she doesn't even believe Jesus is God either. So, you know, I don't understand anymore. And I'm just sick of this podcast wars between podcasters, and then trying to like divide their audiences against the other audience and divide friendships. It's sad. Catholics are Christians. Evangelicals are Christians. We're saved by grace. And, you know, and as you say, there's people in all denominations that are not necessarily Christian either. Yes, there are some, not everyone in the Catholic Church is necessarily saved. Not all evangelicals are either. So it's you know, it's not a Catholic thing. And right now, the institutions are broken. The Catholic Church is a mess, but so is the evangelical church too, which, you know, I've been to a lot of them. They hardly talk about Jesus anymore, or sin. But they sure can talk about Israel and pander to their audience how we should support Israel all the time. So if that's the case, how is that any better than Pope Leo? Then, you know, that you claim that you guys are the ones that have a more understanding, then how is that any better than, how is talking about Israel instead of Jesus any better than what Pope Leo might say then, if that's the case? So, you know, I don't know. Anyway, I don't have much more to say. I think I kind of said what I needed, but, you know, I know Tucker kind of responded on his like newsletter thing, and, you know, Tucker is definitely not gonna. I don't think I'm not gonna ever hate him. I only will worry if he starts to shill for bringing Islam into America, which I don't think he will. He's always been good on immigration, so I'm not really worried about it. But he needs to be careful too. And, you know, you need to forget about Tucker and focus on the left. That's what we need to focus on. Stop focusing on this conservative podcaster being different than this podcaster. We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to be a big tent. So yeah. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Let me know what you all think. Is Trump the same? Has Trump changed at all? I mean, I know this isn't new. He's always been troll, but I don't understand why he would do that. He thinks he was trying to make himself a doctor, but then he also then denied it. He never posted it, but then took it down. So it's like, you know, is someone else running his page? I don't understand. So let me know what you think. Is something going on with Trump? Let me know down below. And if you like this channel, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. The Miracle First Pill channel, out.